Now, Georgia is essentially, from what we know so far, a standard recount. The margin in percentage terms is very small, but most of the voting that happens these days is pretty accurate. So when you're talking about a five-figure, 10,000 plus vote difference, what's the likelihood this changes?
No likelihood at all, Tom. So, I mean, the sense of, what's Trump's now 50,000 votes behind in Pennsylvania, 16 or so thousand behind in Georgia, 12 or so in Arizona, 20,000 in Wisconsin. That's not going to happen. You might find a few irregularities. These vote counts occasionally do, but you're not going to make up 16,000 votes in a recount. It's good to do to show the integrity of the system. It was done last time in Wisconsin. Jill Stein, the Greens candidate, requested it because the margin was within 1%, totally within his rights. But once these recounts occur, there's a time to move on. There's a need to transition to a Biden administration. And the idea that the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, is talking about a transition to a second Trump administration, we've got to read the numbers at this point. No matter what the result was, it had to be accepted last time with Trump winning. Similarly, has to be accepted this time with Biden winning.
I mean, if you sort of look at his comments, they might have been a bit tongue-in-cheek, but the other side of the things, the Trump campaign is in this full-on mode of counterclaiming. One example today, Kayla McEnany says we have 234 pages of sworn affidavits under penalty of perjury alleging election irregularities from just one county in Michigan. This is the sort of strategy now. It's micro claims on a mass scale. Any given video anywhere that purports to show ballots being destroyed or thrown in a truck or whatever it might be is seized upon. Now, again, any of these accusations should be pursued because you can't be allowing or turning a blind eye to this stuff. But we haven't seen any of this stand up so far in court.
Yes, and the big issue is, how do you make up thousands of votes? If it was come down to 10 or 20, or as it did with George W. Bush, just about 400 votes in Florida out of a population of 20 million, then you're really getting down to the details. Of course, those hanging chads, whether they should be counted or not, that was a difficult issue. And it was an issue where a lot of people said, well, the intention was there. The Supreme Court overruled that counting of hanging chads. We don't have that situation this time. We don't have the small margin where, an irregularity, a stuff-up could make a difference of 100, a couple of hundred. It doesn't make a difference of a few thousand. So really grasping at straws, conspiratorial. I mean, those of us who've been reading Trump's Twitter feed over the last week are getting an exercise in gaslighting, what it is to be told, no, the facts are different.
We're just getting vision at the moment. This was of Donald Trump attending Remembrance Day ceremonies. It was just interesting, I thought. He has been playing golf since the election result. Some people sort of wondered whether he was going to kick up a big fuss but want to return to his normal life. Was this a sign he wants to keep enjoying the trappings of office, the extraordinary profile it gives him? I mean, I noted he was a bit late apparently for this ceremony. That's a bit by the by. But do you think this was a sign that he really is digging in?
Well, some people in the US are very kind of worried about the sacking of Mark Esper, the defense secretary, that Trump may have more grand plans for digging in. That, I think, it's hard to call. We don't have enough evidence on that. Some people take the most pessimistic view. Other people say, well, he was always going to go. This was housekeeping. Esper had been offside with Trump since the Black Lives Matter protests, and Esper had pushed back against Trump using the military to clear that park, Lafayette Park, close to the White House. So it's, a wait-and-see kind of period at the moment, really unprecedented for a president not to concede, no matter how bitterly the election is fought. Once it was clear, Al Gore conceded, Hillary Clinton conceded. There was a concession from John McCain for Barack Obama. So we're in uncharted territory. And it tells us that these conventions are really only as strong as the individual who's president, and then how the Congress kind of tries to push back against that. And we're at the moment, we're in a wait and see game. There's no anyone who says, well, this is how it will play out with Trump's mind. I think is probably in just, fooling themselves.